Hi, my name is Sean Hill from MARTiALYOU, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate some of the basic stances for TaeKwonDo as we teach them in our program. First stance I'm going to show you is one called attention stance, or chariot Sogi in Korean. It's typically invoked just before bowing and from a relaxed position. During training you'll simply hear the command chariot, at which time we'll transition from our relaxed position into attention stance by drawing the left leg into the right while we firmly place our hands to our sides of our hip. At this point we're looking straight ahead with as little movement as possible while we await the next command. From behind you'll see my left leg draws into the right and the hands that were previously behind my back come out to the sides and are firmly planted to the sides of my hip. As you can see from the side view, my back and head are straight and I'm holding myself as stiff as a board. A large percentage of the time, a bow occurs from some sort of an attention stance. In traditional training, a student will typically draw themselves into an attention stance just before bowing to the training area they're entering in, an instructor, a group, or even a fellow student. So 15 degrees forward, eyes straight ahead, looking at that group or person, and rising back up. From the side, you can see I'm not tilting forward very much, and I'm rising right back up and staying in my attention stance. The next stance I'm going to show you is ready stance. And during training, you'll hear the command Juchoom signaling you to enter your ready stance. Now this stance is different for traditional training versus Olympic style training. The first one I'm going to show you is for traditional training. Usually ready stance is executed right after bowing and from an attention stance. In the traditional context, we do this by picking up the left foot and bringing it back out to the position it was earlier when we were in a relaxed position, roughly shoulder width. As we bring our foot outward, we're going to release our hands from our hip and simultaneously draw them up as if we're pulling energy from below us. As soon as our foot hits the ground, we shoot our hands in front with fists and slightly bent elbows, and at the same time give a loud key up. So for the whole procedure, attention stance, we draw up, hands are coming up, shoot them out, looking straight ahead with as little movement as possible. From the side you'll see that my left leg comes out, hands release, I draw them up, step out, and from the back view you can see the left foot comes up and goes out to the left, simultaneously planting on the ground with a loud key up. In the context of Olympic training, our ready stance is our fighting stance, and we're going to transition into it by bringing our dominant leg back and drawing our hands up to protect ourselves. I'm right dominant, so I'm going to bring my right leg back and my hands up to protect myself. Now notice I'm not completely sideways, I'm what we call bladed, or at a 45-degree angle to my target. Hands are up to protect my upper section and my midsection, and they're positioned to the point where I can protect my low section equally as good. Now my back foot is not turned out, it's not turned all the way forward, it's pretty much at a 45-degree angle. This gives me the best ability to move side to side very efficiently. From the side view you can see my right leg moving back, hands coming up, moving into my fighting stance. Now, usually when you go into a fighting stance, you're just about ready to spar. So we try to encourage everyone to give a loud key up right when they go into their fighting stance. The next stance I'm going to demonstrate is something called walking stance, or Ahp-Gubi in Korean. This particular stance is used quite a bit in forms training and is very traditional. Before we go into walking stance, let me introduce you to a term called chambering. Chambering is the act of bringing one of our limbs into a position from where a technique will begin. Now before we go into walking stance, I'm going to chamber both of my hands to the sides of my hip. This is a position where I'm going to bring my hands so that I can execute a technique later on, whether it be a punch, or a palm strike, or a knife strike, or some other form of technique. For the rest of the stances I'm going to demonstrate, my hands will be in this chambered position. Now, to begin my walking stance, I'm going to draw my left foot towards the right in a circular motion, sliding it across the floor and not picking it up. Taking the left foot in, circling it back out, about hip width apart, both diagonally and back and front. So you should see the back of my heel on the left foot is lined up with the front toes on my right foot. As I step forward with the right, I'll glide it towards the left and circle it out. Keeping my whole body nice and straight, up and down, and moving in a sliding fashion. I can go backwards, circling back the foot. From behind, you'll see, draw the left foot in, circle it out. Right foot in, circle it out. Backwards. Now remember, from the walking stance, your weight is equally distributed on both limbs. So you'll have 50% of weight on the front and 50% of your weight on the back leg. Let's take a look at the next stance called front stance, or Ahp-Gubi Sogi in Korean. This is a very traditional stance and is typically associated with an attack or forward motion. We'll begin by chambering our hands right by our hip. I'm going to start with my left foot, drawing it into the right, and then circling it back out almost to a lunging position, putting about 60% of my weight on the front leg and 40% on the back. Now the rear leg is going to stay straight. The knee's not going to be bent, and my toes are facing somewhat forward, possibly even at a 45-degree angle. The front foot is facing forward towards the target or the direction I'm traveling, and my upper body is staying straight up and down with my weight bearing down to the center. If I want to transition from this stance, taking the right foot and stepping forward, I'm going to bring my right foot in, keeping my knees bent, and stepping out to transition into the opposite stance. Now my right leg is in front, 60% of my weight is on the right leg, 40% on the back. The left leg is now straight, the left foot, the toes are slightly pointed to the front but offline, and my front toes should be pointed towards the direction I'm going or the target I'm heading towards. From the rear, bringing the left foot in, stepping outward, keeping about a shoulder and a half to 2 shoulder distances apart from each other, and front to back. Upper body straight up and down, stepping forward, coming back out. Traveling forward, the left foot, throw it in, circle it back out. 60% of the weight on the front, 40% on the back. Stepping forward. While learning long stance or Ahp-Gubi, you might find yourself lifting your heel that's in the back and bending your knees just slightly. This is typically because you're not used to this stiff position that you're in. So do the best you can to plant that heel on the ground and straighten that back knee out. Look straight ahead. Make it so that your upper body is very parallel with the wall in front of you. So I'm not turning like this, and I'm not turning like this. I'm straight ahead, I'm looking straight, my head is up and down, my back is straight. Also, while learning this stance, try not to cheat and straighten that front leg out. Make sure you keep a nice bend in it and about 60% of your body weight on it. And remember, while traveling forward or backwards from this stance, try not to bob up and down by stiffening up your legs when you step. You want to bend your knees just slightly while you travel forward or back so that your head stays at one level. The next stance I'm going to show you is one called back stance or Dwi-Gubi Sogi in Korean. This stance is typically associated with a defensive posture and is also the exact opposite in weight distribution as the front stance. So from this position, I'm going to chamber my hands and draw my back leg to the rear, putting about 60% of my weight on it and leaving 40% for the front. My front toes are facing towards the direction of my opponent, and my back foot is making an L by pointing my toes 90 degrees away from the heel of the front. Now, my front foot is about a shoulder and a half width from the back foot, and both heels are actually on the same line. My rear foot is turned 90 degrees out from the front, and that makes an L shape in the ground. I have a slight bend in the front knee and a slightly more bent rear knee. This stance will leave you in a position where you can typically pounce back from the rear leg into a forward position. While traveling in this stance, also avoid the mistake of bobbing up and down by stiffening your legs. You want to keep your knees slightly bent so your head does not move up and down. Now I'm going to show you something called horse riding stance, or Juchoom in Korean. Now this stance is notorious for being associated with a training posture. In other words, a stance from which you'll practice other techniques. Now this stance is typically entered into from a traditional style ready stance. And we'll start by drawing our left leg in, as we do to go into our ready stance, and bringing it outward very wide, about 2 shoulder widths, bending our knees down. As we do this, we're going to bring our hands forward as if we're going to grab the reins of a horse and bring them back to our sides in a chambered position. And as we land our feet on the ground and pull our hands in our chambered position, we're going to yell or key up very loudly. So from our ready stance, left foot comes up, hands draw out as if we're grabbing the reins of a horse. Bring our left foot out about 2 shoulder widths, bending our legs, and key it up as we hit. From the side, I'll draw my left leg in, and then out, about 2 shoulder widths. Left leg comes up, out. Hands come out to grab the reins. Weight is equally distributed on the left and right leg. Also, try to avoid side-to-side movement while you're training, trying to relax one muscle at a time. Build your tolerance by staying in that same static position. Hold it. You'll also notice that my back is still straight up and down along with my head. I'm not leaning forward, and I'm not leaning back. And I'm definitely not going to take my forearms and rest them on my legs to help myself stay up. Keep your hands off to the side and rely completely on your legs. Many times while practicing or being in the stance, you'll want to relax your quadricep muscles by straightening your legs out. Don't do that. Part of your training is building up the tolerance to hold your weight in this bent position. The last stance I'm going to show you in this video is something called tiger stance or bum Sogi. Now this stance is named rightfully so because it places you in a position to either pounce like a tiger or spring into an attack. Now to demonstrate this stance, I'm going to chamber my hands to my side. I'm going to bring my right foot behind, keep my toes at a 45-degree angle, draw in the front foot and bend my front knee. I'm also going to bend the rear leg and place 95% of my weight on the back leg. At this position, I should be at a 45-degree angle with my upper body, and I should be able to pick up my front leg at will and maybe kick out and place it right in the same position. As a martial artist, remember to practice these stances often, as they can help you become more in tune with your body and increase your balance and conditioning.